Hi, this is Dr. Lacey Brooks, the People's Audiologist. Today we're going to discuss hearing aid maintenance and cleaning as well as ear cleaning briefly. So we're going to look at today some supplies that are needed and just step-by-step process on how to care for your ears and your hearing devices. So the first thing I'm going to talk about is we have to make sure there's no wax in your ear canal. Wax accumulates over time, and we'll do some other videos about it. But one of the things that I want to show you guys is to make sure that you don't have wax in your ear, because it will clog up your hearing devices, is something that we use here. The brand that I recommend is the Dr. Lacey Brooks ear spray. This will actually dissolve your earwax. Just a couple sprays every few days and you won't have that accumulation of wax in your ear canals, and it'll help make your hearing devices work better over time. So the next step is when we look at the actual devices, one of the things that is very, very important is that you use a cloth daily to wipe off the device. So you're going to use this, we use in our clinic audio wipes, because it does not disrupt the nano coating on hearing devices, and you can actually wipe off the entire portion of the device as well as the piece that goes in your ear. Now, if you do this daily, you're less likely to clog up a filter that's inside of here. But if you forget and something happens and you take your devices out of the charger, for whatever reason they're not working, 90% of the time there's buildup behind this dome in what we call the filter. So one thing you can do is take this wipe in order to troubleshoot and just pop the dome off. Here, this white thing here is called a filter. What we're going to do is we're going to take the filters, and typically patients get these when they're fit with the devices, and you open up the pack and you remove one of the filters. Now, it is important to note on one end, the empty end, there's no filter, and on the other end, there's a brand new filter. So what you do is you flip over the empty end to the device and pop out the old filter. Spin it around because you don't want to put the old filter back in, and pop the new filter in. Now, this is a service that our office performs for our patients, but if you're at home, you can do it as well. So now we have a new filter here, and like I said, that takes care about 90% of the time when a hearing device is not functioning properly. And then we have a dome, so you can pick up a new dome, and then you just insert it over the top on the receiver and give it a push. If you don't have the dome all the way on, it can end up in your ear, and we don't want that. The next step here, after we've wiped it off with the cloth, we've changed the filter, and we've replaced the dome, one of the other things that I like to do is take this little brush here. Now, you have to be careful, because with some devices, if you push too hard, you can push the microphone into the device. So we don't want to do that. We're just going to make sure you give it a brush here to clear out the microphones. And then take the cloth and then wipe it off again. Another thing that I highly recommend, especially if you live in areas with high humidity, and we're in Houston, Texas, and it's very humid here, especially during those summer months, or you live in a place that the temperature changes quite often, you're going to want to put the devices at least every few days in what we call a dryer. Now, there are a lot of different dryers that are on the market. They are not all created equal. One of the dryers that I love is we carry here at our office the Dr. Lacey Brooks Perfect Dry Luxe. Now, what this is going to do is it's actually going to sanitize your devices and remove the moisture. Again, it's a tiny little box that you plug in. we're not going to turn it on with the camera, but you will see lights that come in. You're going to put both devices in and shut the door, and then we would turn it on. If you do this every few days, it prevents the moisture from getting into your devices. We know that when moisture gets into devices, it decreases the effectiveness of the actual devices, and performance can go down as much as 80 to 100% depending on how much moisture. But even with a few microliters of moisture in your devices, you're not going to get the functionality that you need out of them. So it's important to do this, depending on where you live, every few days. Now, when it's done, you can take them out. And another question that I get often is like, okay, well, we put it into the dryer. These are rechargeable devices. When do I put them in my charger? Well, you could leave them in here for a few hours, get the moisture out, up to 3 hours. Then go about your daily routine and then put them in the charger later on at night when you're finished using them. Now today I only showed you how to do one of the devices, but make sure you're cleaning and doing all of the steps that I've shown you to both devices. It's easier to keep track on how often you're changing the filters and having issues, so you can report to your audiologist when you do them both at the same time. If you have any other questions about what we've covered today, give us a call and we'd be happy to go over it with you again.